I call the meeting to order at 5:03. Roll call, please.
Student trustee Mims. Trustee Calhoun.
Present.
Trustee Dopplemore. Dr. Little.
Present.
Trustee Lopez.
Present.
President Ramos.
Present.
Dr. Curry.
Here.
Moving on to item 2, approval of the closed session agenda. Is there a motion?
Moved. Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Lopez and seconded by Dr. Little. Is there any discussion? Without any further discussion, can we please have the vote?
I will give a verbal yes.
I don't have joined meetings, so up mine.
Did you go
would be
to the
for-
meetings and agenda?
No. Let's see.
You can do a verbal, Trustee Calhoun?
Yes.
And your vote is yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry,
Is everybody doing a verbal? Oh, I didn't open it.
I don't,
I'm logged in.
oh, here you go.
Yeah.
And I just came.
Okay. That's a unanimous yes vote.
Moving on to item 3, request to address the Board of Trustees on closed session agenda matters. Are there any requests?
No requests at this time.
Moving on to 3.02, Compton CCD Board of Trustees future agenda items requests. Trustees, Trustee Calhoun.
Yes, I will not be at the next, board meeting, so I would like to be, excused. Unless everything works out, I will not be at the next board meeting. And I do have other things, but I'll say it at the other part when you come to this again.
Okay. Dr. Little.
I will reserve specific issues, but I will also make a request for excused absence in September.
Trustee Lopez. That concludes item 3. Now we recess to close session in accordance with the Ralph M. Brown Act, Government Code Sections 54950 and the following, and Education Code Sections 72122 to discuss and take action on the following items. And that's at 5:06.
ready when you are, yes.
We're reconvening now to open session at 6:04. Roll call, please.
Student trustee Cynthia Mims,
Present.
trustee Calhoun.
Present. Present.
Thank you. Trustee Dopplemore,
Present.
Dr. Little,
I am present.
trustee Lopez,
Present.
President Ramos,
Present.
Dr. Curry,
Here.
Moving on to 5.02, the Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee Lopez, can you please lead us?
Please stand. If you can place your right hand over your heart. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to item 6, report of actions taken in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54857.1. No actions were taken. Now moving on to item 7, request to address the Board of Trustees on agenda and non-agenda matters. 7.01, request to address the Board of Trustees on open session agenda matters.
there are no requests.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7.02, Compton CCD Board of Trustees future agenda items, requests on trustees. Trustee Calhoun?
I'm trying to remember if one time we had a board policy on how many meetings you can be excused from or missed. Does anybody remember that? Can you look it up? Did I do something wrong? Oh,
I just, okay.
for this future agenda, right? Okay, so for future agenda, could you verify if there is a policy on how many meetings a board member can miss or be excused from? Is that the correct way to say it? Okay. And I'm gonna leave the other future agenda alone. Now is not the time to say it.
Trustee Dopplemore?
Yes, as a future agenda item, I would like to either look at reviewing or implementing the conduct for guest speakers or presenters on campus. And to include the cost.
Dr. Little?
No future agenda items at this time.
Trustee Lopez?
No items to add.
That concludes item 7. Moving on to item 8, approval of the open session agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Little, seconded by Trustee Dopplemore. Is there any discussion, corrections?
Just one correction, if you could add into item number, after item 9.01, a recess for the reception.
I took the cupcake before the reception.
With the addition of the recess added under 9.01, is there any other discussion from the board? Can we please have the vote?
May I please give a verbal vote of yes?
Sorry for the delay. It should be up.
You already said it. It came up.
You have to join first, make sure.
Should you set up?
Yeah. Verbal yes.
A verbal yes.
That's a unanimous yes vote.
Moving on to item 9, oath of office, student trustee Cynthia Mims. Dr. Curry.
Right here. Huh?
We both good?
So I state your name. I
I, Cynthia Mims,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of California
of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear truth,
that I will bear truth,
faith,
faith,
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution
to the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of California,
of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental
without any mental
reservation
reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will
and that I will
well and faithfully
and faithfully
discharge
discharge
the duties
the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Want to say a few words?
I just want to say that I am humbled and honored for this position, and that my prayer is that I make an impact for policies that will make a difference for our college as a whole.
Oh, wait, I didn't take your picture. I'm sorry, I missed it. Oh.
Need a motion, right?
Yeah, you do that too. Yeah. Yeah, you take, yeah, everything. But you want to take it right in front? Right there? We can do it outside, you can do it right here, just tell me where you. Okay, outside. Outside. Okay, we'll take it outside.
How long is the break? We're on a recess. How long do you need this? Okay. Wonders? To recess?
Yes. We will now be taking a recess. We'll return at 6:30. From the recess now at 6:29. We're on item 10, Board of Trustees meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Little, seconded by Trustee Lopez. Is there any discussion? Without any further discussion, can we please have the vote?
I give a verbal.
Yes. What was your verbal vote, Dr. Little?
Yes. Try not. Maybe I should have got my new computer.
That's a unanimous yes vote.
Moving on to item 11, reports from representatives and employee organization. 11.01, ASG report, Serenity REIT.
Speak for Serenity today, or speak for the ASG. We ended the year with a bang. My name is Devora. I'm Devora C., and I'm the advisor to the Associated Student Government. We ended the year with a bang. We had our carnival, we had our ASG banquet, which I was so thankful for that. So many of you showing up. Thank you once again. And we had our Asian Pacific Islander celebration. And we had several cap decorating sessions, which we were able to supply our graduates with lots of decorative stuff for their hats. We are very excited about the new administration for ASG that's coming in, and they'll be here at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 11.02, Academic Senate Report, Dr. Sean Moore. I don't see him, so moving on to 11.03, CCCFE Certificated Employees Report, Professor Maruri.
Thank you. Thank you, President Ramos. Hello, board. Good evening. Good to see y'all. Getting ready for summer. Hope y'all are ready too. I'm here not to tell you anything different, anything new. We have two negotiating meetings left, the 23rd and the 28th, I believe. We have been mandated by our faculty to close the contract on the 30th. We hope that you direct the district to close the contract on the 30th. There's really nothing much else to say. Please, I hope you can go to sleep with a clear conscience. Tell the district to close the contract. I know their worry is kicking the can down the road. Trust me, the can will be kicked for a week. We will reopen the contract immediately. Close the contract now, please. I hope you all have a good evening. Take care. Congratulations to the new student trustee. And be well. Take care.
Thank you. 11.04, CCCFE Classified Employees Report, Amenkwa McKenzie. I don't see him. So that concludes item 11. Moving on to item 12, presentations. 12.01, the 2023-2024 Annual Fact Book. Dr. Curry.
Yeah, tonight we have our yearly item for our fact book, something that comes out every year in the spring. And tonight we have Dr. Amari Williams, who is our Dean of Issues of Effectiveness, providing the presentation on the fact book. Amari.
Let's go ahead and hold this a little easier. All right, good evening, Board of Trustees. I'm here to just give you a walkthrough through the 2023-2024 Annual Fact Book update and just highlight a few interesting tidbits of note this year. The presentation itself hasn't changed, so we remain on a Tableau dashboard, which has visualizations where we can drill down through demographics, student programs, et cetera. But I do want to highlight a few, as I mentioned, a few important data points that are of note for this year. So starting with student demographics, I just want to highlight that, let me scroll over so you can see. For the 23-24 year, we did see an increase of 21% of our headcount, which is great to see. I'm going to attribute that to the work of everyone at the college for our outreach and in-reach efforts. Our demographics in terms of gender remain pretty consistent over the past several years. We're about 60% female, a little bit over 62% Hispanic, Latin, around 25% Black or African American students. Those numbers have remained pretty stable. One of the things that I do want to know, we saw in the data this year, which I want to follow up with a little bit of our data collection practices. We saw an increase in the percent of students you see at the bottom row where we were not able to determine their gender. So just we want to do a little follow-up with how we are collecting that data and make sure that we're giving students every opportunity to self-identify. That is just something of note in the student demographics tab. I want to move on to ethnicity, age, and gender. And note something that came out in the fact book this year was that we saw an increase of over 10% of our students enrolled who were between the ages of 25 and 39. And I want to show specifically the bottom bar charts. If you follow the orange, you'll see that that increasingly represents our Black or African American older working student population. And so some of those data points that we'll be taking back to the college to discuss our collaborative governance structure is what are we doing to serve those working, returning to school adults, specifically our Black and African American working adults, because as you can see, as we go up in age, that increasingly represents that population. And so just something to note from the data this year we saw, particularly with that demographic, the growth there. I'm going to jump to financial aid. You see what you see between last year, 2022, 2023, and 23, 24, an 11% growth in the number of California College Promise grants that were awarded to students, as well as close to an 18% growth in Pell Grants awarded. Those numbers are strong and they're exciting to see, particularly because those are a part of the success allocation of the student-centered funding formula. So the more students who we are able to communicate with, get their applications processed for that Promise grant or that Pell Grant, the stronger the allocation that we receive from that funding formula. So that was exciting to see. I'm going to move on to residency, which is another strong highlight. I mentioned the growth of enrollment of 21% from 22-23 to 23-24. As we would expect, most of the students that we serve are within the district boundaries of the Compton Community College District. However, we did see a big percentage growth, around 37% of students coming from outside of the district. And so again, I do want to highlight not only our regional wide outreach strategy, but also just in general the strength of the Compton College brand and the good work that I think everyone in the region understands we do, particularly around basic needs and how we support students. And so that is reflected. If you see this bottom row, that's the row I'm talking about. In 22-23, we had a little bit short of 1,300 students coming from outside of the district boundaries, and that number's approaching 1,800 last year. So a lot of word of mouth, I think, spreading around the good work that the college does. And then I'll move on to just talking a little bit about our completions. In front of you are the degrees and certificates that were awarded last year. And you saw a 34% increase overall in the number of awards. So, associate degrees, certificates, what have you, 34% from 22-23 to 23-24. And one thing I do want to highlight is that growth in the number of degrees that we awarded. Again, referring back to that student-centered funding formula where that success allocation, where we want students to complete that highest award that we offer, which would be a degree. We saw about a 20% increase in the number of associate degrees that we awarded in 22-23, 537 degrees, and that jumped up to 640 in 23-24. I just wanted to make note of that as well for you. So there is a lot of data here. I just wanted to share with you some of the highlights that are in the fact book. We do try to make sure that this data is accurate as we present that to you every year so we understand the impact that we're having for our students. It's an easy way for the members of our community to get profile information if they're filling out applications or need to answer, have some quick facts at their disposal. But I'm happy to take any questions that folks have about the fact book update this year.
Trustees, questions or comments? Dr. Little?
Thank you for the data. I just want to add back onto the financial aid portion that you talked about. You mentioned that that you are seeing an increase in the number of adult learners, particularly the African American community. And on the Pell Grant, right? Is that the Pell Grant and Promise tab where you were speaking where you saw an increase in the number of Pell Grants? So those two separate tabs, right?
Yes.
So is there a way to drill down in the data to kind of show if there's, if you could show the ethnicity of the students? Because I'm trying to see if if they're, with those students that are adult learners, if they are taking advantage of financial aid or if they are utilizing more of like loans to pay for college, to pay for their education. That's what I'm kind of getting at.
So yes, there is. We haven't done that in the fact book, but it is something that has been a part of the update we're working on for the student services dashboard. So we break down the demographics, financial aid as a support program, the demographics of, who's taking advantage of, Pell Grant, Promise Grant, loans, work study, a scholarship, et cetera. And so that's a forthcoming update in that dashboard. Mhm.
Thank you again so much for the report and all the detailed data. And looking at the trustee area report cards, I know some areas are definitely much bigger, but happy to see across the board that we're seeing an uptick, especially in certain areas. And I'm wondering, even though several of the students in looking at the data are part-time, it's like a 20%, 80%. Go ahead.
Yeah, 20, 80%, yes.
Part-time, that a lot of the certificates though are still being earned. And I'm wondering if there's a way to track, are these people who are upskilling? Are they pivoting? You get what I'm saying? We're meeting some needs clearly because we're seeing this increase by several percentages, especially even in the larger districts in district area 2. I know for sure in district area 5. And so those are the kind of future questions that I would love to know, are we seeing, and I saw the occupations listed, so I understand. But to me, that tells me that these are potentially working people and these certifications are either upskills or what that need is. And then also, is there a way, I know it's difficult to capture the informal marketing that's happening because, for example, I know in my district, it's really like a grassroots word of mouth in the market, on the street, at the fish market, things like that. Have you considered, and people come? And we see this uptick, and I'm just wondering if there's a way to capture that so that we can scale that.
So about sort of our working adults. So there is, well, let me back up. So one of the metrics that we do track as a part of our institutional set goals is the number of students who complete 9 or more units of CTE. And I do think one of the things we can do is revisit kind of breaking that down a little bit more and start tracking what around the state we refer to as skills builders, which are those students who come in and take 1 or 2 CTE classes for specific skills, and then they might return back to the job market. We've been focusing on the 9+ units because that is one of the students in the funding formula metrics. That might be a way to capture some of what you're asking about. And then I think about some of the informal marketing, as we talk about our institutional set goals every year, one of the things we could explore is what are the actions and activities that are driving the hopefully growth across each of those measures. So when we return, next year with our data for how our institutional set goals, how we're performing on those, that I think is something that we can attach so that there's a better understanding about what's driving the movement in some of those goals. That would
Thank
help.
you. And I think the persistence rate may be a good indicator to kind of triangulate that, because if people have made a decision, right, I'm returning to school, but looking at who's attending is still in that 19 or less, it's a big percentage. So they're persisting, they're coming more, it may be part-time, but if we can kind of find out the why and then figure out how we can continue to promote that. Thank you so much.
Do we know for our older adults if they're taking the credit, non-credit classes, or they're actually taking credits towards the pathway, just to go along the routes Dr. Little just asked questions
So
on?
most of them are taking credit courses. In the data, though, we did see an increase, actually about 500% of the growth of non-credit awards. So in 22-23, we had 4 non-credit certificates awarded, and last year 20. But most of the
On what focus, if you don't mind me asking?
of the non-credit
Yeah.
in ESL. But for most of the older adults, they're still coming back and they're taking largely credit courses. Or the non-credit headcount is still pretty small, a little bit over 100 students. The most of them are here for taking credit.
Thank you.
I had a question about like, do we have, I don't know what's the word, data, like how you have it broken down by like age brackets, but also how like, do we have data on like students separated by age brackets and like how likely they are to use student services that we offer here on campus?
Yes, not in the fact book. That again is data that we're tracking in our student services dashboard. So for programs like EOPS, CalWorks, transportation vouchers, using the tutoring, the Student Success Center services. That is data that's going to be available in the Student Services dashboard. That would be you can disaggregate that by, age group, race, ethnicity, and gender. So not in this
Okay.
dashboard, but in a separate dashboard that we
Okay.
also have on the IE webpage.
Okay. And another question I had under the tab feeder high schools, I'm looking at the high schools that fall under the local unifieds that fall under our district. And their numbers were so high in 2019 through 2024. And looking at the most recent year, like it's about a third or a quarter of what it was before. Do you think that number is affected by like dual enrollment, high school students that are getting the ADTs? Like what affects that number now?
Well, so in 2019, 2020, we were dealing with higher enrollment overall.
Okay.
So there are a couple of factors here. One is just rebound to try to get back to the 2019, 2020 enrollment numbers. And then if you just want to highlight, for example, if you were to see in 2019, 2020, right, that California not identified, it's 591, and it's gone down to 23, 24, is that we've gone back and refreshed the actual school code that pulls in, finding some cleanup with some of the data. So now we're actually able to match those students to a high school, where in previous years we weren't able to match the particular high school those students were coming from. So some of it is just cleaning up a little bit of the data, but then some of it is just due to the enrollment decline that's happened since 2019 that we're trying to move back up toward.
Thank you. Trustees, are there any other questions or comments? Thank you for that presentation. .02 adoption of
12.02.
12.02 equitable placement AB 705 and AB 1705. Dr. Curry.
Yeah, so I will have Dr. Sherry Berger, Vice President of Academic Affairs, introduce this item. with regards to equitable placement, AB 705 and 1705, update to the Board of Trustees. Dr. Berger.
Thank you, Dr. Gurry. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Cabinet, members of the community. I'd like to introduce Dr. Rebecca Blanchine, Dean of Student Success, and Gerson Valle, our Dean of Student Learning, who will do a presentation on equitable placement under AB Assembly Bill 705 and 1705. Thank you.
Forward, backward, highlight. Okay, thank you. So for our table of contents, we're going to be discussing our implementation of AB 1705, student supports, our transfer level English and math success rates. We're also going to go over some data that's very promising for our success rates of students using our tutoring services, student engagement, and then talk about the plans for English and math for the next academic year, 25-26. So for implementing AB 1705, this prohibits us from placing our students in pre-transfer level courses. So we no longer schedule pre-transfer classes in English since fall of 2022 and math since the summer of 2023. We're continuing to provide academic supports for our students that are enrolled in transfer level English and math classes. All of our students are placed directly into English 101, and our students are also placed into their appropriate transfer level math courses. So for our business majors, they're placed into business calculus. And then effective this fall 2025, any student may enroll in Math 190, which is calculus. And then only students who've never completed intermediate algebra will be able to enroll in those lower levels to help support them if they're going in the calculus pathway.
Okay. As Dr. Blanchine just mentioned, starting July 2025, all students pursuing STEM will be able to take calculus, and we will start offering a calculus co-requisite support, Math 19C. We'll talk about that in a couple of slides. This will be an option available to all students. Those students with the lowest high school band GPA, so 2.6 or lower, will be recommended that they take this concurrently with the Math 190 course. Okay, next slide. Students not in STEM, business majors will be able to take Math 165, which is business calculus, and that's been open since last summer per the Chancellor's office, and that has no prerequisites, and we will be providing access to wraparound academic supports for all students taking calculus and all of our transfer level math classes.
Okay, for our student supports, we're continuing to utilize our CRM advise system where alerts are entered for our students, and we try to provide that early intervention to help them with their success. Math has done a community of practice in this past year, working on standardizing the syllabi. For Math 150 and English 101, we're continuing our refresher program during the winter and summer sessions, and those are led by our Student Success Center faculty instructional specialists. Math is continuing to do the just-in-time workshops, and we want to really build strong collaboration with our first-year experience program that is now coming back. More student supports. Our Student Success Center provides drop-in tutoring both virtually and in person for those students taking English and math. We have embedded tutors in our classes, which places a tutor inside the classroom. We're continuing to offer net tutoring, which is free online support 24/7 for students. They can do live tutoring. They can also drop off questions and then get feedback later. We have a series of student success writing workshops throughout fall and spring. And our professional development activity for winter 2025, faculty participated in Motivate Labs, which was an initiative through the Chancellor's office. And this is really a way for the faculty to learn strategies to help students connect with the purpose of what they're learning in the classroom to their future educational and career goals. And also focuses on creating sense of belonging in the classroom.
All right. For this data, it goes in line with what Mari William, Dean of Institutional Effectiveness, presented. Over the last 3 years, the enrollments for first-time students at Compton College has increased. It's nearly doubled from 682 to 1301 first-time students that we have here at Compton College. I'm sorry? Oh. The first-time students that enrolled into English in the first year has also been going up. It has nearly doubled in the last 3 years. And this increase in student enrollments has also led to more student success. As you can see in the third bar graph, students completing their successful transfer English in the first year went from 130 to 184 in the last year. So that means more students going and getting their degree. I would like to mention the table at the bottom, first column, second column, and third column. The second column is the number of students who enrolled into English from the first-time students. So those percentages there, 41, 38, 35, 37, are the students who actually, the percentage of students who went into English. And on the third column, this is something new from this year from last year's presentation. The 47, 36, 41% that you see and that first percentage is the percentage of students who successfully completed having taken that English course. That second number, the 19-14%, is based off of first-time students, regardless of whether they enrolled in an English course or not. And that's what we use for the student-centered funding formula. In the math, the very, very similar story, increase in first-time students. The number of students who registered in the math class has also gone up from 157 to 298, so nearly double. Double the number of students means we have had more students finishing their first transfer math class, which translates to more students being able to go on and get their degree after finishing that math degree. And then similar percentages at the bottom, you'll see the throughput rate and the number of success based on students who registered in a math class. When we look at African American students, the left side of the columns is the English courses that they took. Again, increase in first-time students for African Americans, increase in African American students both taking English and math throughout the last 3 years. Though the counts have stayed relatively the same throughout the last 3 years. That's something we'll be addressing in a future slide when we talk about Student Success Center. For Latinos, again, same story, more students coming into Compton College, more students taking English and math, and Latinos did a little bit better as far as succeeding. Their success did actually go up from 90 to 119 in English, from 64 to 93 students actually finishing their math course in the last 3 years.
Okay, so this data slide shows our success rates for students that are using our tutoring services in the Student Success Center. So we can see that students who are interacting and getting tutoring services, they're more likely to be retained and to succeed when you're comparing to the college-wide success and retention rates. So the college-wide is the purple bar, and then the success rates, if they're interacting with our Student Success Center and getting tutoring services, is the red. So it's definitely my silver lining happy slide. And then this, when we break it down with demographics, when you see Black African American students, you can see that it's really showing a significant impact for those students that are getting tutoring services. So we want to just continue to encourage our students and incentivize tutoring. You can see the yellow bar is our college-wide, so that's all students. So if you look at 2023, our Black students actually had success rate that surpassed all students if they received tutoring services. So we know that tutoring is helping, and we want to continue to just encourage students to access our academic supports. Okay, so our AP 705 English plans for 25-26. We're planning in spring of 26 to actually be the first time that we're going to do the 5-unit English 101E class, which is enhanced reading and composition. So this will include the co-requisite support class into one. So our English faculty put that through curriculum, and they want to try this as a way to help support students. We're going to continue with our Student Success Center writing workshop series. So these are just some examples, like using AI ethically and efficiently, understanding your prompts. We need to get more students coming and attending these workshops. And our instructional specialist is doing a great job with doing both online, using the OWL tool and doing it so that students don't have to physically be there to attend, but she's doing them in person as well. We're going to continue with summer 2025 refresher session, and that is really focused on our students who failed or withdrew in spring of 2025 and getting them to attend to get some extra help before they retake. And we want to work closely with a first-year experience program, and we're going to have English workshops for our summer bridge summer. And we just need to encourage more faculty to request embedded tutors. So we do feel like the embedded tutoring does help, but the faculty have to be willing to want that tutor in their classroom. And so just really encouraging more of that.
Similarly, on the math side, we're going to continue offering some of the supports that we had, such as just-in-time workshops, the math community of practice, where faculty will get together to talk about best practices in the classroom, continue to offer the summer refresher courses for Math 150, the stats class, and workshops as part of the FYE First Year Experience Summer Bridge program. But they're also going to be doing new things, such as, for example, the 19C is the co-requisite for calculus that I mentioned. That's going to be ready to go for fall. It's already gone through curriculum. The zero textbook cost math degree pathway is also ready to launch in the fall, and those are things that we hope that will help out with the math throughput, as well as the Math 100 supervised tutoring that we continue to offer. Okay. Questions?
Trustees? Dr. Little?
Thank you so much for the presentation. There are a couple of, okay. There are a couple of questions that I had. If we can maybe go in reverse order, the one right before those two. So the 5-unit course is something that's going to be piloted. Like, how many sections are going to be offered?
Pretty positive we'll start it with one section, but I'll go to VP Berger.
So we've been offering a separate support class in the past, and it's been a challenge to have those classes fill. So we're probably going to start with one class in a prime time, daytime, in-person situation. And if it starts showing demand, we will increase our offerings. But most students, because they can just take the regular 4-unit class without taking the extra support, it's been a challenge. And I think we have to build that up. So this will be the first time in spring 26, and we're going to start with one section.
Okay, and I was wondering if there's any correlation between financial aid or the cost of tuition if they wanted to take 3 classes, like if they go over 12 units, will the one additional unit in any way impact that?
I don't know enough about how the impact of financial aid is, except that you're 12 units, you're a full-time student. So this extra unit helps them get to the 12 units. But I don't know the impact on their actual aid package.
Because I know, I'm sure sometimes the 1 unit is just, you know, it's an extra course that they look at, but I know some students who are very cognizant of every single unit because they pay by the unit. So I'm just wondering that impact, and then that could be looked at. And then I'm wondering, is this plan or model going to apply to math as well, depending upon the success of the English?
So the math faculty were presented this option as well, and they chose to go with a 2-unit co-requisite course that's separate, because that's what a lot of the other campuses are doing as well. And again, this was before my time, but when I came in, that's is where we were trying to get them up to speed to make sure that 19C, the co-requisite, was ready for fall. The discussion about an embedded 1 unit extra to the Math 190, the calculus course, is in discussion, but we're determining if we're going to do that or not still.
Because I'm just thinking curricularly, English is definitely a building subject, but math especially. So when you think about co-requisites, if you don't have the foundation and you're trying to learn parallel, some of the concepts where you need the foundations, I'm just wondering, you know, how we're going to message that to the students to get them to understand the vital importance of that.
Yeah, it has been a struggle, and that's why we've given this option to the math faculty, but at the end of the day, faculty develop the curriculum. And so we're relying on them to move forward. That would be in the best interest of the students, but we also have to make sure that they're able to incorporate that. Our challenge specifically with the calculus is that we only ever offer 1 or 2 sections of it. So to offer a third section of a class that has embedded support would be a challenge. And because not all students need that support class, and we can't require all students to take a support class under the AB 1705. So we do have a little bit of a challenge in the calculus. In the statistics, it might be something because we have a larger offering of the Math 150, which is changing to Stat C1000 under Common Course numbering, to maybe try an embedded class. But again, the faculty would have to create a single course that includes the support.
Thank you so much. Wait, I just have 2 other questions. For the numbers, they are great that they're going up. Like, for example, the 298 in math. What is the total in, though? How many students could be eligible for this transfer level math in terms of, or is that the total? 298?
Technically, all 1301 students are eligible for math. It's just they have to choose to take it.
Right. So it's a 300 out of 1301 that are actually taking it. And then of that 298, we have a 12 or, different ratios, 54%, but the throughput rate, which you explained, are regardless if they've had the pre-class or not, the co-rec or not, but it's 12%, 13%. So on the one hand, it's increasing, but it's a small percentage of a small percentage. And so I'm just wondering, how are students matriculating and how are we doing some data to see how, they're not taking remedial classes, but if they're taking this class 5 times, it's like remedial. And then when they transfer, how are they being successful?
We don't have all the answers to your questions right now, but if you look at the 1301, that's the total number of first-time students that were here in 2023, 2024. And don't have my glasses. 398 took the math. Well, 298, sorry. So we need to increase the number of students out of that 1301 taking math in their first year, ideally in their first semester. One of the things that we're working on, and it's on the consent agenda today, is to review all of the degree program maps, which are the 2-year program map or pathways, so that students can see. And we're going to be working towards putting English and math in that first semester for all programs as a means to encourage all students to complete English and math, which will increase the likelihood that they would have a throughput. If you wait until the last semester, say, to take math and you don't pass, then your year is up. The year starts in that fall year. So we want to get students in their first semester as a first-time student, both to English and math.
And of those 1,000 who are not taking it, are we tracking their success whenever they do take it?
That is something that we can look at.
Thank you. For both English and math. Go on. I think it's important, though, to know.
And just, my question is also, so now with starting that, is it possible that we can begin with this, coming in with the fall? This fall semester's first-time students with tracking that particular data? And the reason why I'm asking, because like my question was really about like the transfer rate, because you said that there's like an increased number. So now can we begin to get like a true depiction with these support math and English courses? And even like with the regular math and English courses as well, to see if students are transferring within 2 years or 3+ years from first time to matriculation.
So I just want to jump in a little bit on this one, and I appreciate the questions from Dr. Little and also Trustee Doppelmore. I think there's 2 things that are at play here regards to this conversation. not only are we looking at from AB 705 and 1705 for our campus and how we implement multiple measures on our campus to support our students and what does it look like for them in transfer level English and math. But I also think it's a bigger issue too when we look at our institutional set goals. So on the board agenda tonight, in the consent agenda is approving the institutional set goals, which also includes the first time students who complete transfer level English and math. So it's important that the board knows that we're creating we have a dashboard for institutional effectiveness and our institutional set goals. And in our dashboard includes the math and English. And the reason why I bring this up is because one, it's a college goal. But then we start to look at Trustee Dr. Little's questions regards to what happens when are they taking it? And what does that data look like? And I think that's one of the questions we've been asking. And I've been having conversations with Amari as well, is that we need to be focused on our students completing transfer level English and math during the first year, but also looking and tracking the data, monitoring the data of when students are actually taking it and what is their success. And that's something that we'll be bringing forth as we move forward with this one. Because at the end of the day, what I noticed is that students are not taking it until their second year. What I'm really concerned about is students who take it their second year or even their third year, they don't complete that math course and they're not able to transfer. And so that's one of the barriers when we look at student transfer is transfer level English and math. The question will be when are students taking it mostly, right? And then disaggregate that by race, gender, and also by age. And then also how do you follow back up with those students? And so I think it's very important that not only a part of our communications for guided pathways, that we have a communication that's going out to all first-time students about the importance of taking transfer level English and math before the beginning of the semester. But then also during the first semester, we should be pulling who out of first year students are enrolled in transfer level English and math, and who is not enrolled, they need to be referred to see a counselor to make sure they're enrolled for spring semester. But the institutional set goals is going to be driving these conversations because we look at counseling, for example, when we set up institutional set goals, that'd be one of the things that we're looking at is, okay, what's the institutional set goals for transfer level English and math for a particular program like EOPS and CARE? And we can be able to see what's happening, especially when they have a requirement that students are supposed to see a counselor during their first year, making sure that students are being advised about transfer level English and math. So the big goal is making sure that we have institutional set goals, which on the board agenda. And then the next piece is monitoring that by department, but then starting to ask those questions like the board is asking today about when are students taking transfer level English and math? How are we following back up with those students? And I think those are conversations of where we're headed as a campus to be having these conversations. Because at the end of the day, we have more students who are taking transfer level English and math. But do we have a better percentage of students who are passing transfer level English and math? Yeah, but not where we should be when you compare it statewide. But we also have to make sure more students are taking transfer level English and math during their first year. And the data shows that, right? So now what are some of the strategies? I think you have to take it down to the department and program level where they're having conversations also about transfer level English and math. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about students being enrolled in class. It's about making sure that students are getting those support services. So for example, support services will be, are we doing an email to all students who are enrolled in transfer level English and math where they know about all the services that are being provided from the tutoring to the just-in-time workshops? And then when do we do that as well? Because now it's about plugging students into the support services. We know that the support services are there, but are we making sure we're promoting it wisely? Are the faculty promoting those just-in-time workshops? Are we doing an email at the beginning of the semester to all students enrolled in transfer level English and math? These are all the supports that are available to you. I think we're starting to get to the transformative changes that needs to happen. To the transformative changes that needs to happen.
And
That's
they
where we're headed.
work, and they work. The data shows that they work.
The data shows, my concern is always with co-requisites, regards to number of units, and will students be able to do it, right? When we offered the co-requisites before, and students weren't taking advantage of it. And so that's going to be a issue because some students don't have the time to be able to take another class. And we got to be honest with ourselves about that. But also making sure that students are able to take those workshops, right? And we've seen the data regards to students who took tutoring and also did the workshops, they perform better. So how do we make sure students know about it? And I think the best way to promote those workshops is the faculty who are teaching those workshops, encouraging their students to go, who are not doing well in their English or math course, and really promote that. We have to promote it. But we also have to follow back up with other means. So, but knowing who our students are in these classes is important, and then following up with them. But we're better off now than we were 10 years ago.
Can I ask if perhaps can the co-requisite be intertwined with the actual class curriculum and then add that unit as an additional unit in that class? So say it's a 3-unit class, can that co-requisite collide with that class to make it a 4-unit class, giving the student the extra unit? And then also, it doesn't put into their brain that, oh, I have to take another class or I have to make time for this additional class if it's already together, or is that too much?
No, that's exactly what the English 101E does.
Okay.
It's a single course that embeds the co-requisite support into the class. So it goes from a 4-unit class to a 5-unit class. Just math has it separate.
Okay, so now with that clarification, so is this considered as a, with the student taking the English 101 with the co-requisite with the English, now is this considered as an English comp class? Yes?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Yes.
okay. And then that is communicated and students, they will understand that by taking that, even though it has the built-in support, it still counts as their English comp.
Correct. So we created this class over a year ago, and we haven't been able to offer it because we have been waiting exactly for this articulation to come through for both general education and major requirements.
Thank you. That's all I have, Chair.
Trustees, are there any other questions or comments?
Just one more question. Will there be a consideration to embed the co-requisite into the math class? Is that something that can be considered or implemented future forward?
Yes, so as mentioned, we have talked with the math faculty about doing that, and we are relying on them to create the curriculum. Dean Valle continues to have conversations with them and will continue in the fall as well.
Okay, thank you.
So just as a follow-up to this item, we will come back to provide some updates to the board regards to when students are taking transfer level English and math, and what does that look like, disaggregated by race, gender, and also age, just so people get a sense of when people are taking it, and then what does that look like? So we would do a follow-up regards to this item. We're looking at when students are taking transfer level English and math, disaggregated by race, age, and also gender.
And Chair, if I may
Math and
add,
English, sorry.
just to clarify, and then we also, just to clarify, just to make sure that we're taking that into consideration to begin tracking that, the 2 to 4 year transfer, could we start that for this fall semester?
We already have, are you asking for us to?
To begin tracking for 2 or 3 years for transfer? To kind of take in the transfer rate, to identify the transfer rate. Is it already tracked?
We already have the transfer rate. Are you asking for?
With the new courses?
Are you asking once we start to offer new courses, will it impact the transfer rates of our students?
I hear you. If I'm hearing you correctly, I think what we're talking about is maybe developing a true cohort tracking process. So this group of students starting fall 2025, where are they by spring 2028? When did they take math? They take English? When did they complete these gateway courses? That
Yes.
capture what you're.
Yes.
Yes, that is on my to-do. Yes, I understand what you're saying. Yes.
And I think it ties into what we were asking earlier, right? Okay. Because then that way you can track who's not going.
Correct. Can we take that?
Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you for that presentation. Moving on to item 12.03, Compton College 2035 Facilities Master Plan. Dr. Curry.
So we have Dr. Linda Owens Jackson, Director of Facilities, Chief Facilities Officer, providing the facilities update. Dr. Owens Jackson.
Good evening. Good evening. Back again, 13th year. My name is Dr. Linda Owens Jackson, and I'm going to give you an update on facilities. Let's see if uh-oh. It's red. Hello. Okay. Let's try this again. Good evening. I'm Dr. Linda Owens Jackson. I'm Chief Facilities Officer here at Compton College. Going to give you an update on facilities. Our table of contents, we're covering facilities accomplishments, current facilities projects, future facilities projects, Compton College facilities priorities, and then taking questions. Accomplishments. In November 2014, Compton residents authorized the issuance of $100 million in general obligation bonds. That was Measure C. In November 2024, they authorized $200 million in general obligation bonds, our Measure CC. Some of our major projects completed recently. Student Services Building in 2023 is when faculty staff moved in. Instructional Building 2 moved in 2024, and the admin building renovation, which is this building, we finished in 2025. So current projects, the Student Services Building, the architect, TBP, architects, project manager, PCM3, the contractor, TeleQ. This was our first community benefits agreement where we had the project labor agreement. The project budget was $25.2 million in Measure C bond funds. We demolished the old library, if you can remember, and built a one-stop shop. And our district staff moved in April of 23. Notice of completion was filed in January of this year. We have a claim pending regarding our acoustic panels. We did receive some feedback just yesterday, and we're still looking to move forward with a claim against, so we can get reimbursed or get funding to correct the issue with the acoustic panels. So this is under review by Keenan, our insurance company, and we still have ongoing project meetings. Instructional Building 2, also the same architect, construction manager, contractor. This is $25.6 million project. As this is partially state funded. Construction is 99% complete. As I mentioned, staff moved in 2024. We demolished D-Row, did some site work and landscaping more recently. We submitted tonight, you're going to, hopefully, you will approve the deductive change order in the amount of $110,000. We also has a no-cost time extension of 1,305 days. We're just a few items away from filing a notice of completion. Two of the major ones are finishing up some hardware and also finishing up the camera installation on the exterior of the building and on a few of the light poles in and around Instructional Building 2. We have ongoing project meetings. The Administration Building, architect TBP, construction manager PCM3. This contractor, MLC Constructors, was the general contractor. The budget was $5 million. We were to renovate this administration building. We had to modify the work, the scope of work, to keep it under 2.5 million, which is what we were able to do. And we were planning to bid HVAC and roofing, but we had all of those items checked out, and we did a few upgrades and we did a roofing repair, and we were able to move forward. We filed a notice of completion in January of 2025. We moved in admin services, human resources, and community relations, and of course, brought Dr. Curry and his crew back over into his offices with a minor upgrades to his space as well. We've ordered some lobby furniture separately, and we're modifying some of the keying for accessibility and acoustics. The VOTEC building renovation. The architect is TBP. Project manager, construction manager, to be determined. We are currently in the process of collecting proposals. The proposals for a construction manager are due next Monday. We're hoping we have a good group to select from, and this will be our construction manager moving forward for several projects that we're going to be talking, or I'm going to be talking about tonight. This project budget is $19.9 million, and we received additional HUD funding through Congresswoman Maxine Waters for $850,000. We plan to renovate the existing building, reconfigure the space to include cosmetology, expand the HVAC area, and update the welding area. Completion estimated is TBD. We're still waiting on, we're hoping to get submit drawings and specs to DSA if we can select a construction manager within the next few months. So our goal is to get this to DSA in spring of next year. We have ongoing meetings. The PE complex with the pool. Architect of record, Stewart Architects. The project manager is PCM3. The general contractor, after we rebid, is Suffolk at $55.2 million. This project is our second community benefit project for our community benefits agreement with the assistance monitoring from CS and Associates, who's here tonight to give more information. The project budget is $68.8 million, with the state portion $23.1 million. We're planning to demolish buildings U, V, W, and Z. Z is the pool, and build a two-story building. And once we finish the building, we'll move individuals in and then come back in demo X, which is the gymnasium. Construction start date was set for June 21st, which is this coming Saturday. They'll probably start putting up fencing on Monday. Estimated completion, January 2028. And we've got ongoing meetings for that project. The Visual and Performing Arts Complex. Also, Stewart Architects, project manager, PCM3. The general contractor for this project is Chalmers at $17.3 million. This is also our community benefits agreement with the assistance and monitoring from CS and Associates. The project budget is $23.2 million with the state portion of $13.3. We're planning to demolish 3 existing buildings around Y area, not the little theater, but the little theater will get a structural upgrade because that's required by the Division of the State Architect. So the construction start date for this project is also this Saturday, and they'll probably put up fencing sometime next week. And we're estimating completion December 2026 with ongoing meetings. The student housing project. The architect of record is HPI Group. The construction manager is GAFCON. The general contractors, Bernard Brothers. We've been working with Public Agency Law Group, Bowles, and other stakeholders on an RFP for management and operator vendor. The project budget is $80.3 million, state funds. I have slash loan, but we don't have to give the money back. So I know we may have to sign some other documents, but for now we're able to keep the entire amount. It's phase 1 is 251 beds, 90,000 square feet, and a 3-story building. The location is currently surrounded by a green construction fence. It's the park area south of parking lot F and north of the Student Services Building. This is modular construction. The modulars are currently being constructed in Boise, Idaho, and I believe Dr. Curry is going to be taking a trip out to Boise to check it out. Construction start date was December 2024. Estimated completion, May 2027. And we've got ongoing construction meetings. So future projects. Our starting point, we always use the facilities master plan. Our current one is Compton College 2035. So I've got a little picture of what is currently in our book for our Compton College 2035. Priorities following Compton College 2035 facilities plan, which is on page 86 of the document. We're planning to complete the following projects: the Student Service Building, Instructional Building 2, PE Complex, the VAPA, which is Visual and Performing Arts Complex, and student housing. We'll continue planning for the following facilities projects. That's selection of a construction management firm. Again, I mentioned that those RFPs are due this coming Monday. And then we'll move forward with the vocational technology renovation. Following the math, I have science in parentheses because we're going to break the science out and build a separate science building. But it'll be the math and MIS building renovation. We've got the Abel Sykes Junior Child Development Center renovation. We've also got the renovation of D2729. That's the last part of D Row that's still standing, and it's scheduled for basic needs. And of course, future, always looking into solar array electric charging stations in the various parking lots. Future projects, demolish row C. That's the last of the flat buildings. Science building, a student union, of course, an urgent care, community health clinic, which we're trying to move forward on that a lot quicker. The maintenance building renovation, it's an old tin building in the back where I'm housed. The student housing phase 2, which we're trying to bring in additional beds in phase 2, which will be just south of what will be the existing student housing when it's done. And of course, athletic fields and stadium. That concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions for me?
Trustees? Trustee Calhoun?
Good evening. I think the issues that I have, the issues that I have with facilities, all the buildings, all the new buildings that have been built, right? There are so many things wrong with the new buildings that need fixing, right? And so my issue is, what's going to make a difference in the new buildings that are going up? Who do we hold accountable when the handicap, all right. Who do we hold accountable when the things in the building are not working and it's completed and it's been signed off? Prime example. Can you tell me if in the math and science building is the handicap button fixed? In the math and science building, there's a handicap button that you press to go. Is it fixed or is it still broken? Little things that we could see. Now, I see a whole lot of stuff, right? Because I come on this campus. So I'm looking at the buildings that were recently built with the developers that did it, everybody that did it and signed off and everything. What's going to be different with the new buildings that are going up so that it'll be fixed? I'm trying to say it in the right way, but it really bothers me when I go into a brand new building and there are things wrong with it and it was signed off. And that we as citizens that live in this community, not just this community, Linwood, Paramount, this came off the backs of our taxes on our houses, right? And so if it sounds like I'm upset I am, because those are tax dollars that's on my taxes. I ain't trying to be funny. I think my taxes was $20,000, my taxes. And that does not include so far the bond that the school district did, right? So I know when I get my new taxes, I know what it's gonna be like. So if we continue to build and we looking good, we are looking good. I love it. But what I don't love is when I go into a building and I hit that wall and that door don't open because it's broken, okay? You go over here by, you go over here by the bookstore, tables out there. Power wash those tables. I'm not gonna tell you what's on the tables, but power wash those tables. I'm up here, if I see it and I'm not here every day, what do you think the students have to deal with every day that they come here, right? And so I am quite concerned. I am glad that we are building new buildings. I am glad that the bond was passed. I am glad of all of that. But what I'm not glad of is when I go into a building and it's horrible. So who does the checkoff list on all of this stuff to guarantee that everything is going to be fixed and is done? And then we won't have to say, just like the elevator over there kept breaking. Really? Brand new building kept breaking. You can see the seams coming apart when you go upstairs on another thing. It was in the bathroom, the hole in the wall. Things like that that we have to keep talking about that should have been done. And if it was signed off, everything should have been inspected and signed off. And so where's our money at with all that stuff? And then if this happens again with these new buildings, where's that money at? And the people are paid. And then you got to call them back. But we need the people that are responsible, that's over our facilities. I'm just going to say, to do their job. Stuff need to be inspected, hashtag and everything. And we need to see them. And I want to see the bids. I know a whole lot of stuff is coming up. No, I'm not going for it this time, Dr. Curry. No, I am not. We have a fantastic college, right? Upward mobility. We got fantastic students, faculty, all of that. But we do not have to look like a second-class college when all that stuff is messed up. And then you got to keep calling them back. That is my issue with facilities and the buildings. And so what is the plan to make sure when all these go up, every individual is held accountable and they don't get paid? Somebody got to be held accountable when this work is not done. Not this time. I'm not an inspector. I don't claim to be an inspector, but you can walk in every new building, over here, over there, all of them. You can. And it doesn't make any sense. We did this building, right? Okay. We did this building, we had a grand opening, we had ribbon cutting. Used the restroom twice. You couldn't use the restroom no more because the toilet was messed up. Brand new building. They had to put a sign out there, don't use. And then we had to go either to the library or way over there to use the restroom. Unacceptable. That is unacceptable. Then I guess it wasn't enough money in the budget to even paint this building. No, we are not going to be second class college, second class anything. We build it, it's going to be done right. And we should not have to look at stuff. I have a whole list, but I'm not going to go through it because I walked this campus. I got 2 pages of stuff that is wrong with all these new buildings that has been built. And if I can see this and the students can see it, why facilities can't see it and get it fixed? How many shifts you got? 2, 3? I don't know. I'm just saying why it's not fixed. So our new buildings that come up, don't make me have 3 and 4 lists, because I got 2 right here. Go ahead on the answer, Dr. Curry. I heard you down there.
I was making sure you were done, though.
No, I'm done because I don't want to keep going on, but I've talked to you about these buildings. This is ridiculous. We pay too much money for this to be looking like this. You want my list that I got down and you want to verify is all this
I
stuff
was
is fixed?
waiting for you to be done.
I'll give it to you. That's the only thing that gets me upset about our college and our buildings. I'm done, Dr. Curry, because if you don't let me,
I can't see you, so make sure before you say. I
no,
let
I'm
you-
gonna stop because, I'm gonna stop. I'm going to stop because if I don't,
But I don't want to interrupt because I'll make sure you done.
I'll go through this whole list and I don't want to go through it because I jotted it down. I did my walkthrough.
So may I respond now?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't disagree with the comments that were made. We're doing a lot of changes within our facilities department regards to new construction management firm that we're looking at. Also, we'll be looking at new legal counsel to support some of the new projects in the future. We also have a new inspector for these projects as well. So we'll monitor that. But what you're saying is absolutely correct. When a building is signed off on by the inspector and also by the construction management firm, we should not be coming back with issues. And that's been our problem. But from my perspective, if it doesn't work out, these people should not be here, period. There's there's nothing else to hide. If people are not doing their jobs, then they should not be able to come back and work another project. And I have my recommendation for that in the past, regards to contractors. But then also too, if people are signed off on buildings and things are not done, then they will be held accountable. So I'm meeting with the different firms, regards to this project, our next two projects. But you're right, we have had issues, and the issues will stop. And I get it. You're 100% right. And you should be mad.
Trustees?
Thank you, Dr. Owens. I just have just a couple questions. Can you speak a little bit, and if it's going to be covered later, Dr. Curry, I totally understand. Can you speak about the additional, structural upgrades for the little theater? That's one. And then number two is, were those upgrades, were they already, brought to the attention, or is this something that was brought up after? And will this increase the funding or the budget for that particular job for the visual arts building?
So as some of you might be aware, the Little Theater went through a renovation several years ago. However, since that time, codes have changed. So when we went back to the Division of the State Architect with our new Y area renovation, they made it plain that we would not get that project unless we did structural renovations to the Little Theater. So with that information, we went back to the state because it is partially state funded and asked for additional fees because the Division of the State Architect had requested certain structural changes. We did get additional money, and of course, as with everything in time, things go up, but we did get additional funds from the state to do the structural upgrades to the Little Theater.
And thank you, Dr. Owens. And then my next question is about the student housing. You mentioned the additional beds in the back. Can you clarify?
So we are looking to do additional bids not only in the second phase, but we're looking at adding additional bids to the first phase. So currently, the architects, as well as the construction manager, are looking at how we can add additional beds to the current setup of 251 beds.
And the additional beds will bring the total to what am
We're
I?
still looking at
Oh, okay,
exactly how we can add them to certain spaces.
Okay.
Just to add to that, we've been looking at the total cost of ownership and how much will the rent be from students, but then also what the profits will look like, but also the associated positions associated with that, and try to make sure, the reason why we look at additional beds is to make sure we're bringing enough revenue to support the facility, but then also too, knowing that we're probably gonna have more people who are looking for doubles to make sure that we have extra beds versus just a single occupancy. So that's the reason why we're waiting for a recommendation to be brought forward. But we can be able to use some of our singles and make them doubles. Depends on each year, we can be able to make some changes to it. And so once we have an updated number, we can be able to come back with the board, what the number will look like for, if we increase it from 251 to another number.
Okay, and then just to clarify, so with that taken into consideration, will that also support the current plans and structures? Or with the additional bodies, will that also increase, say, some of the infrastructure? Because now you are increasing the occupancy, and then now we have to change number of codes. And I'm just asking if increasing the occupancy, will that also increase some of the other capacity codes or other?
At this time, no. So the occupancy is based on square footage, so we have limits. Moving forward, we'll look at all the opportunities we have to add additional beds, and if we cannot, we will not.
Thank you, Dr. Owens. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Owens Jackson, for the report. Just in adding up the recently completed and the current projects, it's $248 million. And a couple of the projects is the same person or group. I see we're diversifying in terms of the companies that we're using. I am very interested in the community benefits in terms of how many people we've hired, if we've integrated it into our curricula, because it seems like it's a perfect internship on campus for construction management. They don't have to go far. And I think that there could be a way to possibly embed that when you're talking about spending $248 million, and then we still have future projects. So in terms of, we've heard the case about accountability, but what I don't want our campus to become is a cash cow for people to come build their reputation on working at Compton College. I attended here, like I said before, I started at age 14, I'll be 60. It took a long time to take those bungalows and those rows down. Like Trustee Calhoun said, you know, my mom's lived here since 59. I've owned a home since 2001. Taxes, 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 taxes. So I think not only is it legacy, but it's what people deserve in terms of, you know, you see the new high school go up. I think people, and I've not walked that campus, I don't know if there are issues, but to the point that was made, I don't know how many local campuses, community colleges, spending $248 million with all this building. We're blessed. And I think we have to ensure that we're good stewards. Thank you.
Chair, if I could, no,
I just, did she got us something? Did you want to say? Oh, okay. Back to the 250 beds, and I understand about doubling up to earn more money. And so maybe you can do it and maybe you can't. But if you can do it, what are you going to cut out? And my thing is, what do you mean that if you do double the beds, have two beds in the room where you were having a single, what do you mean you don't have to change the plans? If your plan says it's a single room and you got the measurements and the diameters, right? And now you're gonna make it be a double room, then your measurements for the single room is wrong. Or either you're gonna get a smaller bed, or you're gonna take a dresser out of that room, or it ain't gonna be no dresser in that room. What do you mean the plans won't change?
We're looking at bunk beds. We're looking at all opportunities to add beds within reason. Within budget. The budget will increase to add additional beds, to purchase the beds, absolutely. But the size of the room is the size of the room. It's not changing, it's being built right now. It's already been through DSA and continue to go through DSA because it's an unusual modular building, the first of its kind.
But when you guys went through DSA, you was a single room. Y'all didn't say nothing about no bunk beds. Y'all said a single bed. We saw the drawing, the indentation that was up here. Was we in this building or was we over there? We was over there. We were over there. And the gentleman showed the pictures of everything, how the kitchen gonna look, the common area gonna look, how big it's gonna be. I'm not an architect, I'm not, right? I am not, I don't claim to be. You can't tell me, you cannot, and maybe you can, but you can't tell me that when you go from a single bed to a bunk bed, the height and width from the ceiling to wherever that bunk bed is ain't no much taller, and somebody set up in that bunk bed, how tall is their head compared to the roof of the ceiling of the thing? So something is gonna be cut off. This, I know this is a day and age that you can move a wall, you can do all this. Okay, you say there ain't gonna be no changes.
We're not moving any
No,
walls.
no, 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 no. I understand what you just said.
Yeah.
Okay. No changes, possibly bunk beds. No changes. We heard that, right? Okay.
Trustee Calhoun, that is correct, and if we provide more information to the
You
board.
please do, because I want to know the height, the length, and everything because when you get a bunk bed, the bunk bed is taller. And that means, never mind. Never mind. Mm-mm. The size of the rooms, Dr. Curry, the dimension of the rooms, that's what I'm talking about. And what the indentation said that would be in those rooms. And then some of them have a bathroom and some of them don't, right?
So Trustee Calhoun, what we can do is provide more information to the board regards to the housing. We had a conversation with them a couple weeks ago regards to this matter and how do we move forward. And we were advised that we can move forward with adding additional beds because we might not have that many singles. But we can bring more information back to the Board of Trustees regards to that and what that potentially would look like.
How much money did you say? 240? Thank you very much. Okay. No change orders. Can't be no change orders then. On the student housing, should not be a single change order. When it come up on the agenda, there should never be any change orders for that student housing. Let's see that. If nothing is gonna change, everything can stay the same, then we should not, this board should not have on our agenda anything about change orders on student housing. What's today's date? June the 16th of 2025.
You'll remind us about that in a minute, right?
Huh?
You'll remind us about that in a minute, right?
That's right.
So look, we have the budget is set. Our goal is to limit the amount of change order that comes in front of the Board of Trustees regards to this project. We set aside $80 million for this project. We do have some extra monies as well to help support the project if we have any overage, and we don't know at this time. I don't want that, right? But we're monitoring the budget for the 80.39 million.
Y'all keep nodding your head and y'all keep shaking your head. No change orders.
May I just ask a clarifying question for myself, Dr. Curry and Dr. Owens Jackson? Just because honestly, I'm not clear. When you said that you all had conversations a couple of weeks ago, was it to provide more housing like above the 200 and something, or is it to lessen costs for people who may not be able to afford a single, or is it both?
I think it's a little bit of both, right? But our thing is trying to figure out ways, if we need to increase the number of beds, do we have other options to be able to do that?
And we're increasing it because of what is the
It's
motivation?
based off a need, right? And so the question would be, as we look at our project based off a number of singles and doubles and what we might need during the first year of the project, how many singles do we need versus doubles? And so I've been having this conversation. I have not seen the financial update numbers on that. We just asked for that at the last meeting for them to come up with a recommendation of what this potentially could look like. And I don't know. And I don't know how many beds we're adding. We have no idea. We just asked them for information what the potentially could look like, and also the financial information as well.
So this is a possibility that you just wanted to have as an option, but when we went to bid, what were the number of singles and doubles proposed when we went to bid?
I would say the number of beds was 251.
It was not disaggregated by singles and doubles. It was just 251, however.
251 beds, but right now we have 50 singles.
We chose that.
That's the number that was included in our proposal to the
So
state.
201, 100 for doubles, that are equivalent to 200 people, and then 50 singles. But we're anticipating a higher need, so we're trying to see if we want to renegotiate the 50 singles. If we want to have all doubles possibly, it could be an option.
Or it could be the option of 10 during the first, it could be the option of 30 during the first year that are single versus 50, right? So we're trying to look at the numbers to get a better understanding of how many doubles versus singles do we actually need.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And then based on this, and not to continue to do the bed count, belabor the bed count, with this change, will this delay the building of the modulars,
No.
or is it just no? Okay.
It's just all about the setup of the facility. And just so I've been around student housing since I was an undergrad, and I saw how numbers of beds in dorms have changed over the years. Some went from doubles to triples, some went from triples to 4 people. It all depends, and it's all flexibility. And a lot of times the dorms could have double beds, could have single beds. It all depends. But we're looking at what are our options as we move forward to regards to the facility. And my concern is, do we have enough beds for students that might need a double versus a single? But then also knowing that the number of single the first year might not be 50, we might only need 30. And we're trying to understand what that might look like, but also what's the ramification of cost if you add additional bed to the singles. All single rooms are set up based on the bed, the furniture we're ordering, are set up to add another bed, right? The question will be, are we doing, if we do that, how many rooms are we doing that for?
Thank you for that clarification, Dr. Curry. That's all I have. Chair, thank you, Dr. Linda Owens Jackson.
Are there any other comments or questions? Thank you for that presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Moving on to item 13, 2025-2026 Compton Community College District Tentative Budget. Dr. Curry.
Dr. Nasser will be doing his last budget presentation this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Curry. Good evening, board members. Let's see. Just a little background and a reminder, you've seen this before. By ed code, you need to approve the budget today, so then July 1, we can conduct our business. And it wasn't done today. This is a 6-month process. You'll remember in April, we brought to you the tentative budget assumptions, but that was also not the beginning. The beginning was in January when the governor proposed his budget. We started building. So it's a building process. Oops. Yeah, it's a building, thank you. So it's a building process. And in May, the governor proposed a May revise. And so all that sort of added up to bring us to the budget assumptions that we're going to be discussing today. So we'll talk about the assumptions. We'll give a few numbers on the budget, general fund, and the other funds. And after this presentation, when you approve the budget, we'll have all the numbers in more gory details, if you will. Something that I live by, that's just hazards of the profession. But anyway, our estimated beginning balance is 14.5 million. We estimate a revenue of 54.5 million, 58,980. That's our FTES hold harmless. COLA, just a reminder, initially when the governor proposed the budget was at 2.43, now is at 2.3. Also, again, just as a sort of reminder that in June, the legislature will act on the budget, and the numbers may change. So in September, when you approve the final budget, the numbers will be different. We are proposing 2 faculty positions, culinary arts and fire technology, an apprenticeship specialist from a restricted fund, one-time augmentations, enrollment management. Of course, that's key. We want to do what we can to enhance our enrollment on campus. some enrichment programs that also contribute to our enrollment. Line of credit, if you remember, we are now in the stages of about paying it off. Next year, we'll pay it fully. And so we are doing that. 250,000 for OPEB. Some of the reserves, enterprise resource planning, you remember that's for our banner, that's our student system. And then the one-time transfers, first one is for insurance, second one is for Child Development Center. We are going to transfer some funds for guided pathways, 1.5 million for the enterprise resource planning, and 78,000 for the bookstore contract. If you remember, you signed the contract, you approved the contract back in February or March, and that has a requirement there. So those are the assumptions, and now let me give you the numbers. So numerically, we start with 14.5 in terms of fund balance, but we end at 16.6. So it's a positive budget. In terms of restricted funds, as you know, they come tied with some restriction, and what it basically means is revenues are dedicated to certain expenses, and we will end up the fiscal year with about the same year-end. Measure C, our bond, we talked about it, and we hopefully start going forward with the projects, ending the fund balance with 21 million. Financial aid, we want to, support our students to the tune of about $10 million. And so that's what the numbers look like, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Trustees?
I have no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nasser. I have no questions.
Thank you.
Just want to thank Dr. Nasser for his great legacy of service and for agreeing to extend his service to December of 2025.
Thank you.
My apologies, maybe I was misspoken.
Thank you for that
Just
presentation.
a brief comment, just as I reflect. About 4.5 years ago, I joined Compton Community College. My first day on the job was a Tuesday in January. And if you remember, our board meetings were on Tuesday, so nothing like baptism by fire. And if you remember, it wasn't like this. It was on that little screen. We've come a long way. Since then, we moved to, at one point, we came back here, and then we went to the little theater, and then we went to student services, and here we are in this remodeled administration building. So it's been an experience. I really enjoyed it. Thank you all very much. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
You're going to be truly missed, Dr. Nasser.
Moving on to item 13.02, adoption of the 2025-2026 Compton Community College District tentative budget.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Little and seconded by Trustee Dopplemore. Is there any discussion? Without any further discussion, can we please have the vote?
That's a unanimous yes vote.
Moving on to item 13.03, Compton CCD, resolution number 06-16-2025A to establish GAN limit fiscal year 2025 through 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Little, seconded by Trustee Lopez. Is there any discussion? Without any further discussion, can we please have the vote?
That's a unanimous yes vote.
13.04 Administrative Services, Compton CCD Resolution Number 06-18-2025B, Declaration, Indefinite Salaries for Pay Resolution for Fiscal Year 2025 through 2026.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Little and seconded by Trustee Dopplemore. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, can we please have the vote?
That's a unanimous yes vote.
Moving on to item 14, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Little and seconded by Trustee Lopez. Trustees, are there any items that you want discussed? Trustee Calhoun?
Not, not really a discussion. I just want to thank Dr. Curry for answering my questions, especially about the ones that I was discussing earlier today. So that's why I'm not pulling anything or discussing anything, because we went over it very good. And I just want to thank you for enlightening me on about understanding my concerns about the questions that I was asking from 14, the ones that I did. Thank you.
Trustee Dopplemore, do you have numbers?
Yes, 1407, 1408, 1410. And that's all.
Dr. Little?
I just had a question about 1410, so it's already been raised.
Trustee Lopez? Okay, we'll go to 14.04. Trustee Dopplemore?
Oh, no, I said 1407, 1404.
Oh,
Was-
1407.
Yeah,
sorry.
1404 was addressed during the presentation.
But now 1407?
Yes, so my question, Dr. Curry, is with Huddle, the number of, if you, and if you don't have it, I understand that as well, but like the number of students and the number of like our sports programs that are actually utilizing Huddle.
So is my understanding this is mostly used for football, but I can follow back up on that question regards to it. But also in the fact book, it includes information regards to the number of athletes for the teams that we have. But this is for the editing for Huddle. So you want to know who else is using it besides football?
Yes, like with say basketball, and is it like just outside of is it for the students also to edit their videos, or is it just mainly like for the coaching staff?
I can follow back up on that question.
Okay, thank you.
14.08.
And then 1408 with the organization. Do we know the number of employees that are or African American and people of color? So the personnel. So I guess like my question is the position of equity and diversity with this particular service being offered.
This is a service that's used statewide regards to officials for games. All we do is pay into the service. It's an easier way to pay out. We don't get involved with how officials are selected, nor do we ask for the data regards to the officials who work within that organization.
Is this this particular organization, is it tied to, is it the organization that we have to use with our, I guess you could say with our league that we're in?
It has to do with the
Okay.
conference, the statewide and also locally as well. We can have more information in regards to that, but it's something that we've been doing yearly in regards to the arbiter for the officials.
Thank you. On to, my question for 1410 is, the number of students attending the upward bound math and science, is it also reflected in some of our diversity initiatives here on campus?
So we do have follow-up questions from the last meeting in regards to Upward Bound. This one right here is for the summer residential program that they have. And your question is, and I have to follow back up, how many students they expect to participate? I don't know that, but we can follow back up for you on that question. But this is something we do yearly. They go different places. Last year they're at Cal State Long Beach. So this year they're looking at Cal State LA.
Okay, so just to clarify, for the number of students that are actually participating, you'll get that information?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number for the summer residential program.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have for my questions for number 1410.
Thank you. I think, Dr. Curry, you answered it. They rotate, right? Because I'm a proud Cal State LA alum, but I was just wondering with our matriculation agreement with Dominguez, you know, if there was a way to get the students on those campuses, it might encourage them. So, but if it rotates, it rotates. Thank you.
Trustees, are there any other questions? Without any further questions, can we please have the vote?
That's a unanimous yes vote.
Moving on to item 15, action items, 15.01, administrative services, Compton CCD resolution number 06-16-2025E, budget transfers and augmentations for fiscal year 2024 through 2025. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Little and seconded by Trustee Dopplemore. Is there any discussion? Without any further discussion, can we please have the vote?
That's a unanimous yes vote.
15.02, administrative services contracts over 114,800, amendment for Modern Campus Incorporated. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Little and seconded by Trustee Lopez. Is there any discussion? Without any further discussion, can we please have the vote?
That's a unanimous yes vote.
15.03, facilities, planning and development, contracts over 114,800. Teleco construction management, deductive change order number 1. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Dopplemore and seconded by Dr. Little. Is there any discussion? Without any further discussion, can we please have the vote?
That's a unanimous yes vote.
Item 16, discussion and action. 16.01, Compton College full-time equivalent students, FTES. Dr. Curry.
Yeah, so we provide an update on FTS for this year. You can see our numbers for summer. We're on this one, we're up by 2% compared to last year this time. But actually, based off the numbers today, is about 1%. But students are still registering right now for summer. And then for fall, based off our data, we're up by 2% from last year compared to this time. And so we have some newsletters going out, or community newsletters going out in the next couple of weeks, and also additional postcards as well. But mostly we're seeing more students come in on campus to the Welcome Center to get assisted with registering. But this gives you all the data in regards to outreach activities, but also our FTS projections and where we're at right now as well. Is there any questions?
No. Item 17, grant items.
These are just items to be moved, 17.01, 17.02, and 17.03.
They all have to be approved.
Yeah.
17.01, Administrative Services Grant Association for Applied Sports Psychology. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Little and seconded by Trustee Dopplemore. Is there any discussion? Without any further discussion, can we please have the vote?
That's a unanimous yes vote.
17.02, Administrative Services Grant, California Community College Award Notification for Rising Scholars Network request for application number ESS 22-200-009. Is there a motion?
Make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Dopplemore and seconded by Dr. Little. Is there any discussion? Without any further discussion, can we please have the vote?
That's a unanimous yes vote.
17.03, Administrative Services Grant Amendment, State of California Department of General Service, Governor's Office of Service and Community Engagement, Go Serve, California Volunteers Agreement number CCGF 105-A1. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Dr. Little and seconded by Trustee Dopplemore. Is there any discussion? Without any further discussion, can we please have the vote?
That's a unanimous yes vote.
Item 18, Board Policies and Administrative Regulations. Dr. Curry.
Just very briefly, we have several board policies and administrative regulations here for first read for the Board of Trustees. And we did get a question from Trustee Calhoun where it says the board versus Board of Trustees. We make sure all the board policy says Board of Trustees, not just the board. But these are all the updated board policies and administrative regulations.
Item 19, Information Items. Dr. Curry.
There's various information items this month. I just want to just bring one to your attention. And we also have a special guest regards to 19.22, which is regarding the community benefits agreement that we have. And we also have, we have a firm that's helping us with the community benefits agreement. As we try to monitor is CS and Associates responsibility for monitoring. So I included in the packet the template that we'll be using. And then also we invite the consultants to provide an update. I'll first start with Dr. Owen Jackson, and she can introduce the speaker. And Heather, you have the presentation behind you. You have the presentation, sorry.
Let's try again. Good evening. I'm back this time to introduce our consultant CS and Associates for an overview of our CBA and our plans. Ms. Charlotte, please come forward.
Good evening, trustees. I'm Charlotte Curtis with CS and Associates. Thank you for having me. How do I move from page to page? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so first off, CS and Associates has been in existence for 21 years. I have 36 years of experience in administering labor compliance programs and CBAs and PLAs. And our services will cover the PE or physical education complex and the visual and performing arts project. And essentially, we will provide labor compliance services in addition to administering the CBA and capturing data for the employment of local residents. We will provide a monthly report to the college district and to the board. We will collect that data from certified payroll records that are submitted to us by prime contractors and each and every subcontractor that appears on the project. That data is usually submitted in arrears, and so our reports will be a month behind of the actual time that the work took place. Here's a sample report of the, may I, thank you. Sample report of the employment of local residents reports. And essentially in that report, you will see a head count, total head count of all of the workers that appear on the project for each subcontractor. The prime contractors, from what I understand, will not have on-site labor. We will pull that information directly from the certified payroll records that are sent to us. We will capture data based upon the zip codes in Tier 1. That will be the first column, and then zip codes, those employees that appear on the project that reside in Tier 2 zip codes, and then the remaining zip codes in LA County are Tier 3. We'll total those. We'll calculate percentages for the overall project, and you'll receive that in a summary and a report each month. We also maintain backup data that allows us to audit and trace and verify all data that we're submitting in the report. We will capture classifications by a subcontractor and partial Social Security numbers in addition to the worker's name, so that if there is a question, if we need to trace it, we have backup data. And it also supports the accuracy and any outside agency's ability to audit. Okay, but it will not be included in the monthly report. It's data that we'll maintain, and it will be available upon request. One of the biggest things with making sure that we are capturing local hire data and that each employer that appears on the project is actually engaging in the good faith effort to reach out, hire local workers, local residents, is they have to show us that they completed the craft request form that is a part of the CBA document. And that, which if you'd like a copy, I'll submit it here. And that, thank you. And that it was in fact submitted to the corresponding trade union. They have to provide us with a fax transmittal, email confirmation, or any other documentation which shows to us that they made the good faith effort. They can engage in other good faith efforts. They can reach out to the veterans organizations or other organizations, but we need documentation and proof of that before they're approved. One of the things that we run into is many of the subcontractors aren't aware that there's a good faith effort requirement, and they tell us, we don't need to hire. But our response to them is that you still have to make a good faith effort, engage in at least one activity to show that you try to identify and hire a local resident. If we don't receive the proof of the good faith effort, or if they're behind in their certified payroll records, our first move is to delay the release of retention. We issue a 10-day letter. On the 11th day, if they aren't in compliance, we can, but we try not to, we can move to delay the release of their progress payment. Their payments come directly from the prime contractor. So we would send a notice to the prime contractor, copy in the construction management firm, and hopefully they get it corrected. If they don't get it corrected, then payment is delayed. The goal is 30% local residents, and we will be maintaining, the percentages in the report throughout the life of the project for each tier, each zip code, and making sure that contractors, subcontractors are aware that these are the goals and that is the percentage. If they meet the percentage, we tell them you can still do a little bit more. Still submit, your good faith effort or any proof that you engaged in outreach activities. One of the things that we run across is that all workers have to come through the union dispatch. Employers, once they submit a request to union dispatch and they don't receive a response, then they may utilize their own means to staff that project. But they can still engage in outreach activities and provide proof of that. And that's pretty much it. Are there any questions?
Trustees? Trustee Calhoun?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is an excellent report. And thank you for the paperwork. And I understand all this. Yes, I do. As soon as you started talking, and I kept saying, oh, all right, we got one, we got one. So thank you so much. Thank you. Looking forward to your reports.
Yes, they'll come monthly.
And just to jump in before the next question, Trustee Calhoun and the other board members, is that each month, we had a meeting last month regards to new way we're going to present this. So this month you have it on your agenda that this is a new board item. And then next month you should have the numbers of individuals. So it'll be the previous month, you'll be able to see that. And so basically starting in the month of June will be the first one of how many people that worked on a project from those contractors, subcontractors, are from the local zip codes. And so today we would want to make sure you see that this is how we're going to present it on the board agenda. And then each month you get a report for the visual performing arts and also for the PE complex.
Yeah, and actually the notice to proceed is June 21st. So the first report will be in July because we'll just be collecting the records. And just, so that you're aware of it, we'll be doing pre-job conferences with all of the subcontractors. We go over all of the local resident hire requirements, and we reinforce and remind them again and again that they have to submit the craft request form. It doesn't matter whether they plan to hire or not. And we'll be having the first meeting for the physical ed complex this Wednesday via Zoom. And then for the VAPA project, we'll have it Friday afternoon via Zoom with the subcontractors that are onboarding right now.
Trustees?
Thank you so very much for the presentation. I look forward to the updates as well. That's all I have, Chair.
Just a couple of questions.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And they can be answered as we move forward. Is there a data point about continued employment? So not short-term or daily, but is there a way to see if they're making efforts to have continuous employment on the project?
Well, we are tracking the data monthly, and we capture the employees' names. We know who they're reporting. We know who's on the project.
Mhm.
And Yeah, we're not, you don't get the names, we'll have them.
Right, I'm
but,
just saying, so
we'll
they
be able
can't
to
game
track.
the system
Yeah.
and be like, okay, well, we have this percentage,
Yes.
but it's not
Yes.
throughout the project.
Yes.
And it's for every sub, any sub.
Any
Prime and sub.
employer that has on-site labor has to submit certified payroll records, and we're pulling the information directly from the certified payroll records.
And then when we talk about the good faith effort, which is outstanding, when I mentioned earlier about maybe incorporating the campus, what if they claim there's no requisite expertise specific to the needs
Okay,
locally?
for, it's construction trades only those trades that are covered by prevailing wage requirements. And pretty much everybody, if they aren't part of their core work group, everybody has to, meet like journeyman level requirements. They have to register with the union, they have to pay union dues and, meet those requirements.
And is there a way to get the data on the employment availability pool within these zip codes? Like, I'm just saying, if they say, well, only 5% meet the needs, they don't have the expertise, but we can talk about that later. I'm just wondering how do they, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know where that data
Would reside.
Yeah, I know that each union has an out-of-work list, and that's what they will be dispatching from. And they give preference to Tier 1 zip code residents, and then they move to Tier 2. And that's one of the other things that we have to, from time to time, reach out and remind union dispatch that they're supposed to engage in, this effort.
Because I know sometimes the union fees are a barrier for some people, but thank you so much for that. And then is there any way, Dr. Curry, to get any of the retroactive data from the previous projects? And is there any way for the future reports to get it disaggregated, the zip codes by trustee area? I mean, we can physically manually do it ourselves. I was just wondering.
I think that would have to, the way we present it, it had to be done by trustee area. I think that's something we can look at moving forward. Could we have that information? Just how do we set that up? Going retro, I think that'd be kind of difficult because our contract, we changed with this group to be able to add the information that the board has requested. So I think it'd be hard to go back. But now moving forward, we can do that.
It's a lot of data to go through. And
Right, I was just trying to think about how we may target the community to let them be aware that these positions are available. So maybe we just blanket it.
Yeah, the thing I think is good for this is that now every month it's presented on the board.
Right.
So now you will have it by project where individuals are coming from. I do think the last question, Dr. Little, regards to the entirety of the project, and maybe at the end of the project we could be able to see how much time individuals spent on the project by zip code. And I think that's something we could look at for like the end of report to show like what it looks like for residents, the amount of time. But I do think we could look at a trustee area presentation of what this might look like, and also the amount of time. And I think we could do that at the end of the project to be able to disaggregate it by trustee area and also by the time people spend on projects.
And I think it's an important message because we're already talking about, 248 million and people are paying their taxes when they can see through metrics that the community is being employed within their community. I think it makes a huge difference in terms of the response. And also, are formerly incarcerated eligible?
yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you.
But every month this would be on the board agenda. Yeah.
Yes. Anything else?
Thank you for that presentation.
Good evening.
And that concludes the information section for today's meeting.
Item 20, future agenda items. Dr. Curry.
Next month we have an EOPS Care Next Up presentation and also a health center. And we have a report on adult education, an update on the CalWorks, 10 of Gain, update on the call to action. Then we also have the public hearing notice for the budget for the September, and then also update on student learning outcomes.
Item 21, oral report. Dr. Curry.
I have a couple items. Thank you very much. I would like to say thank you to everyone who was involved in the planning of this year's end of year activities. I don't know about anyone else, but we had a lot of events happen over the last 3 to 4 weeks, and I've ate a lot of food and enjoyed it all. But it was a great time. So thank you to everyone that was involved in that. Also, thank you to everyone that participated in the 2025 commencement ceremony. We had over 348 students participate in this year's ceremony. So thank you to everyone that's involved with organizing this year's event. Congratulations to our new student trustee, Cynthia Mims. We look forward to working with you this year. Thank you to everyone that was involved in the 2025-2026 Compton Community College District tentative budget development. Special thank you to Dr. Nasser. Today's his last official board meeting with Compton Community College District. Thank you. We're in week 26 of student housing, and it's on schedule and it's also on budget for student housing, but we're really excited about week 26 of that. Today, we were notified from the California Community Foundation Catalyst Grant in the amount of $399,000 we received for our Compton Community Health Partnerships, Professions Partnership. So that's another grant. So total, we've got about $1.7 million this year to support that work. Also, our 410 schedule begins Monday, June 23rd, and our last Friday off will be August 8th. Construction, as mentioned earlier, for the PE complex and visual performing arts begins on June 21st. And that concludes my report. Thank you very much and have a nice month of June.
21.02, student trustee Mims.
I do not have any reports at this time.
21.03, Board of Trustees, trustee Calhoun.
Dr. Nasser, my friend, you are going to be truly missed. You my go-to guy. Thank you. Now that I got the niceties out the way, I hope next year's graduation that you will start right now looking for a banner that says Compton College on the back of it so we can have a backdrop by the stage. We should have had Compton Community College all around that venue. Even if we could not have forward a banner, you could have got those waving flags that stand them down the line, okay? And we did not even have the photo booth. Come on, y'all. What was wrong with doing that photo booth again? Those students love that photo booth. We need to brand ourselves. Yeah, we know it was Compton College graduation because we were there and they had on their things that said Compton College. But I'm talking about, come on, let's brand ourselves. Put a banner up there so that when they take them pictures in the back, when they go the selfies, they can see Compton College in the back. They take a selfie this way, they see Compton College this way. Come on, you guys, we got to do better. These are our students, and I'm proud of these students that graduated and sacrificed and probably got bills up the yang, but they made it and they did it. But we need to do better branding. So this is June the 16th of 2024. All right, so the next graduation is when? 2025. Thank you so much. I'm getting tired. So next year, you have all this time now to try to figure out a way to get a banner or something to brand us. Branding. We're Compton College. We're in the CPT, but we were in Carson. No, come on. We want Carson to know that Compton College is inside your domicile. We want to see Compton College. Let's brand ourselves from now on. Something. And I want to thank the faculty and all the lovely emails that I received. They all said the same, but I received them. I did have a list of all the names, but because of the lateness of the hour, I'm not going to call all the names that sent the email. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for the email. I'm going to tell you what I didn't like. The graduation was for the students. The graduation was for the students. That was this is my opinion. We can agree to disagree. The graduation was the students and it was their day to shine. And to come there and tack on the back of your hat about Compton CCC and all like that, you know what you had on the back of your hats and walking with them, okay? And then gonna tell me to my face you gonna strike. Read your contracts. Y'all know y'all contract. I got y'all contract. I know how to read your contract. But the young man told me y'all was gonna strike. Okay. I'm a union person. I'm a diehard union person. I know how to read a contract. Y'all messing with the wrong person when it comes to contract. I read y'all's backwards and forwards. Maybe y'all should read your contract when you're talking about striking. And I'm gonna leave it like that. And then as the students were coming out, I do want to thank everybody for waiting for the students to come out before the union got together, singing a song, Mighty, Mighty Union. Because once again, it wasn't your graduation, it was the students' graduation. We can agree to disagree. And I'm going to leave it like that. And I still love you. And I still understand as a union, you have a right. You have a right. And you don't ever give up your right. But in my opinion, it wasn't your right on graduation day.
Trustee Dopplemore?
Yes. I would like to say that I'm very hopeful. I attended the STEAM Fest this year that was put on our campus, and it was for Compton Unified School District, but we hosted it here on our campus. So I'm very hopeful. I was very impressed with the sheer number of students and seeing the diversity for our Black and brown students, and particularly I saw a large number of girls students that were also participating. I had the opportunity to attend the Raza celebration as well as the spring pinning ceremony. So I would like to say, again, congratulations to the spring class, our nursing students, as well as the fall. That is a much needed profession. And they were, you could see how proud they were. And I was actually there cheering them on as well with their hat game. So I would like to thank ASG for offering such opportunities with supplies and a space for students to be able to come and decorate their caps and being able to express themselves, because the cap game was in full effect during the commencement ceremony. So I would encourage the students, like for next graduation, if you make sure that you put that particular session on your calendar to make sure that you are able to participate. And again, congratulations to all of the students that the 348 students that participated in the commencement ceremony. I had an amazing time. And it just really did my heart good with seeing not just with our traditional students, our non-traditional students, and our dually enrolled students. So again, congratulations on a successful year, and I just wish them all the best on their continued journey on their higher education, whether it's at a 4-year or if they're going into earning a certificate or going into a trade. So with that, that's all I have to say. Thank you so very much.
Dr. Little?
Yes, I also want to start with Dr. Nasser and thank him again publicly for not only your leadership and expertise, but just your collegiality. Even through difficult conversations, you've always maintained a respect and professionalism that is very much appreciated. Definitely for the graduation, as I got there later with my grandbaby and we still rooted and saw the graduates and not only their cap game, but their stoles and the stem and mesa and getting to meet the young people who design them, and just the pride. I think, again, as Trustee Calhoun said, you know, Compton College carries global weight. We have a global name, and it's not what we've seen historically in terms of an exploitive or deficit narrative, but that it really is positive. Compton, the city itself, I always say, wherever you go, these 10 square miles will precede you. My son and I were out of, in Europe one time walking down a really small Pebble Roll, and this kid had on a Compton shirt. So I'm really proud of the students. I think the students and the intergenerational representation at the graduation was beautiful. And I don't think you get that everywhere. And so I don't want us to take it for granted. And then as Juneteenth is coming up this weekend, just want to recognize the vital importance of history, the history of this campus, the new history that our students are making and have made. But I always invoke where I come from and my relationship to this campus because it gave me a foundation. It was my first experience with higher ed, and I stayed in higher ed. And I have many of my high school, classmates. It started at Compton College. And so for so many families, people, individuals, companies, do not sleep on Compton College. And so I think we are all here to continue to make sure that our students get the best of the best of the best. And I want to thank Dr. Curry, the administration, the faculty, the staff, everybody who works hard day in and day out for this campus. That's my report.
Trustee Lopez.
Dr. Nasser, thank you very much for your years of service. Trustee, congratulations on being sworn in today. Everyone have a great night.
I just also wanted to congratulate our new student trustee, Mims, for joining the board, and also to thank Dr. Nasser for all your time and service to this college. It's very appreciated by the board. Thank you. You will be missed. And also, I just wanted to thank everyone involved for making all these events happen over the past month. We had a lot going on, and all of you made it happen. And thank you for doing this for the students. And that's all I have. Moving on to item 22. The next regularly scheduled board meeting is July 21st, 2025. Closed session begins at 5 and open session begins at 6. Our meeting is now adjourned at 8:46.